This is Supervisor Flores, Jeff Flores, and his district is where we are at right now.
Third district, county of Kern.
And he'll tell you more about that, but he's gracious enough to come by today. So there's how many Board of Supervisors?
5 members of our Board of Supervisors, and that's for the county of Kern. There's 58 counties, so our county is no different. We have 5 members. The only exception is San Francisco. They have a little special hybrid.
So he's one of 5 that helps run the entire county. So they do the budget for everything from the sheriff, the fire department, to everything you can imagine. And there's meetings monthly, mostly?
Usually every other week, but sometimes we meet back to back. So it could be anywhere from 2 to 3 times a month.
And that's where they talk about all the things that are going on in the public, how we are moving forward on certain things. So projects that might be happening, whether it's a road or a housing project or a budget for increase for more firefighters or money that came during COVID or all those things. So it's really great that he's here. We've been friends for a long time, but he's going to talk to you just about civic duty today. So give it up for Supervisor Jeff Flores.
Thank you, Randy. First of all, it's such a pleasure to be here. There's a lot that entails becoming a supervisor, and I'm brand new. I'm just elected in November, and I'm actually not only the new district supervisor, but also chairman of the board, which is a second kind of honor, and I'm very excited to hit the ground running being chair. I just so happened that it rotates annually, and this district was up to be chair. So I do a lot. I'll talk about what the board does, I'll talk about what the county does, I'll talk about the district, some of the things that Randy touched upon. But a little bit about myself, and I do a lot of events, I do a lot of scheduling, and I speak to Rotaries, I speak to chambers, I go to installation dinners. I have a pretty packed schedule, so it requires a live-work balance to balance family and my work life and my son and all of that. But what I really enjoy about this job are meetings like this, where I sit down with constituents, where I sit down with the youth of our community, where I sit down with our nonprofit, our people that have businesses in this corridor. Just a few things about Covenant. Covenant and Randy's operation, it's not only an anchor in this business district of North Chester, which we call this kind of the streetscape between China Grade and Norris. It's not only an anchor physically for this section, but it's an anchor in terms of community, in terms of impact, in terms of touching lives of our foster youth, of all the services he provides, of mentorship, of job training, of love and support. So thank you, Randy, on behalf of us, and it's been a pleasure working with you as a staff to the supervisor the last 12 years, but now as the current district supervisor moving forward, and I'm honored and I'm blessed with this relationship and what you do here. So a little bit about the county of Kern. So South San Joaquin Valley, ag, oil are the primary industries. We're looking to, of course, diversify, and economic development is so important. It's at the core of what I believe in and do, because from that healthy general fund and economy of jobs and property taxes, those are the revenues of our general fund, and from that general fund, that's how we fund our departments. That's how we fund law enforcement, sheriff's office, Kern County Fire Department, library services, Department of Human Services, the Dream Center. It's how we pay for roads, for graffiti abatement, all the services that we touch upon in our daily lives. And county government to me is very special. It's maybe not as glamorous as United States Congress or Speaker Kevin McCarthy or the presidency, or even state government with Sacramento. But it's important. It's an important part of the fabric of our government, because we have I don't know if you've heard separation of powers, which is legislative, judicial, and executive. But aligned closely to that, we also have federalism, which is federal government, state government, county, local government, and that's the sphere that I operate in, is county and local government. And it's, it's very impactful. I may not be dealing with spy balloons crossing over the U.S. and national security and the things that you see on the news, but what I do deal with are the things that touch on people's lives on a daily basis. From the moment you wake up in your home, when you get into your car, you travel on a county road, the condition of that road, to health services if you ever get sick and you need to go to Kern Medical. That is a level 1 trauma center, which is one of the best in the Central Valley. It's us in Fresno. If there's an accident and you have a first responder that has to come to you, we manage the local ambulance. We manage that response. We manage fire. We manage libraries. We manage the parks, the local amenities that improve our daily quality of lives throughout the year. That's what county government does, and that's where I sit on the board of 5. We govern as a collective. Our budget is $3.6 billion, and from that, that funds all our departments, and we have a myriad of departments. I mentioned a few of them. There's others that I haven't mentioned, like Department of Aging, Kern County District Attorney's Office, Waste Management, you name it. We there's 30 departments, 60 boards and commissions. For those that are wanting to get civically engaged, there's really a topic for everybody. If Parks and Recreation is your thing, we have a Parks and Recreation Commission that oversees our parks. We also have NOR, Recreation and Park District, if you want to serve on that. We have something like the Kern County Planning Commission that oversees land use and development, how the county is going to grow, what industries we want to bring to the county, what special projects there are. It has governed everything to do with land use, with commercial development, with landing a Bass Pro Shop. Those are the things that planning and natural resources do as well. And I'll share a little tidbit on some of the big projects that are on the horizon. I talked about oil and ag, how they're pillars of our economy, but also the county of Kern wants to diversify and go and we hold on to our traditional sectors. We want to diversify and build new sectors to build our general fund, because that's how we fund our departments and our services. But you've heard of the Tejon Hard Rock Casino? That's a real big one. That's going to be one of the largest economic development projects in the history of the county. It's an $800 million project. That's the investment. The county didn't have to pay for any of that. It was all privately funded through Hard Rock and the Seminole Indian tribe, and also the local tribe is the Tejon Indian tribe. We'll be at the foot of the grapevine as you're going southbound, near the fruit stands off of Mettler. It's going to be huge project. And if you're not into gaming, you're young, there's something for everybody. There's 13 restaurants. There's going to be music venue. There's going to be hospitality. The largest convention center in the Central Valley. There's going to be saunas, pools, everything. So we're really excited to have land that. It's going to be the largest one, west of the Mississippi, because there's a few. There's one in Sacramento, but this will be the biggest. So it's projects like that where we're diversifying, but also standing up to the governor, because oil is important, and we're already a leader in renewables. We have the biggest solar footprint in California. We have wind energy. We have geothermal. And I understand the direction that Sacramento wants to go in terms of decreasing our carbon footprint, but the reality is that the demand is still there. California uses 1.6 million barrels of oil a day. but we don't produce that. We only produce 1.1 million. So we've got a deficit that we have to make up, and that deficit comes from overseas. That deficit comes from Saudi Arabia, from Iraq, from South America, and so we still end up transporting that by tanker. We still have excess CO2 emissions, and they queue up in the port of Long Beach. More emissions. So you get the point. Is we can do it cleaner, better, safer with the policies that we have here in Kern County. Employ our families, help our economy, help with jobs, and it has a cascading effect throughout all our economy. So we're not going to give up on that. And we've done local permitting here. We were sued by some environmentalists, and so it got delayed. The judge ruled in our favor back in November, the Kern County Superior Court, and so it opened up the permitting process again. And just in that 1 month window where we were allowed to drill and issue permits, the county issued 1,000 permits. So we were excited about that. We felt optimistic, but we were sued again, and now there's a stay and there's an injunction, and now it's in the 5th District Court of Appeals, and we're waiting for another ruling shortly from the 5th District, and we feel optimistic that we'll be allowed to continue, but it's something that we're closely monitoring here. And so that's kind of an idea of some of the things, the issues that we're dealing with. Excuse me. Randy, go ahead.
Why is it important for our folks that are here to think about engaging, whether it's voting? So you were voted into office,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So the people select you.
Correct.
Why is it important for them to think about that civic kind of responsibility?
Yeah, it's important because you want to fight for the issues that you believe in, that are near and dear to your heart. I don't know, some of you may have different interests. For some it might be combating homelessness, for some it might be public safety, for some it might be housing and foster youth issues. So it's important for you to be engaged and civically minded, because you'll have a say in who your elected representative is, and not only for the representative, but you're going to have a say in what policies get discussed, get chosen, what's deliberated, in the actual projects or policies that actually come to fruition. So your engagement helps shape that from beginning to end. And so and I know we're all busy. It's tough to be engaged, because a lot of people, they're living paycheck to paycheck. They have houses to run, mouths to feed, family issues, soccer practice. I understand the busyness of life, but just in terms of civic responsibility, in terms of issues that are important to you, it pays off to be engaged. It pays off to not just listen to the news, but be a part of it, to help shape it, to help move the issues that are important to you. And that's why it's so important, especially from young people, because you literally are our future. And the more engaged you are today and throughout the process, the better Kern County will be. I need diversity of input. I just can't have it from one section, and that's fine. Sometimes the same people show up over and over and over, and that's their right. But then the board and us as decision makers, we're only getting one sector of feedback all the time. And I know Kern County's diverse. I know there's different interests, there's different demographics, there's different ages, and I think what helps us as an elected body is to hear from everybody, and to hear from our youth, to hear what your priorities are, and that's why it's so important, to pay attention, to be engaged.
And then that act of actually registering and voting, it's not just on that county level, right? Federal, state, city, right? So they have representatives on the city council that they vote in.
Also,
and someone that they can talk to about those things that are happening in the city, whether it's water or an issue around dumping or any of these things that go on. These are the elected officials that you're voting in. So your vote, a lot of times people don't think it matters, but you have to really understand that what you do with that ballot for our governor, for our president, all that stuff is such a huge deal, because you are the future.
Yeah, it really matters because, especially for some reason, our elections have been very close and very tight. You know, back to state government, there was a local Senate race with Senator Hurtado, who was incumbent, and a challenger named David Shepard, who was from Porterville. A Senate district, a state Senate district, is larger than a congressional district. It's larger than Kevin McCarthy's district. It's 1 million people. And, you know, 9th largest economy in the state. The California government affects us in so many ways. But this one Senate seat here in Bakersfield was determined by 20 votes.
Wow.
20 votes. That was the threshold of victory. So that's why it matters. Every vote matters. If we go in there and say, oh, they're not this, it matters. It really matters. He could have won that just by knocking on 5 more houses. You know, it's so important. And even in my race, it was very important. I walked in many different neighborhoods. Just to give you a sense of what the 3rd district is. It's Metro Bakersfield. It's Oildale. It's parts of Rosedale, Olive Drive. I go out to the mouth of the canyon to Rio Bravo. I have Panorama, East Bakersfield, down into Westchester. I go south to the Valley Plaza, and I go southwest all the way to Old Stockdale, Laurel Glen, Quailwood, Amberton, and I stop at Gosford. So, you know, it's not as big as the other districts, but it's very compact, and it's a large population. And I know all those neighborhoods. I've walked them. It's good for me as a candidate. It's good for the voters to get to know who's wanting to represent them. I've had many conversations at the door. It helps me have a pulse on the community, what's on their minds, and that one-to-one work was really critical in my race. So it does make a difference, and I take everyone seriously.
I can vouch for that because I actually met you once in my neighborhood.
Oh, did I really?
About a year ago.
Oh,
yeah.
nice. Okay, yeah.
So another
Yeah.
thing about what Supervisor Flores is talking about, one of the things that you actually are beneficiaries of is the THP Plus contract that we have with the county of Kern. That contract goes before his meeting, and they have to sign off on it. So their meetings have this giant list of to-do items that they have to go through, and all those departments have requests that they make. And so before that meeting even starts, there's this giant list that they say, we're gonna accept all these offers that are coming in, we're gonna approve all these things. But up until that time, one of you could go to the meeting and say, hey, I'd like to speak about this issue as a public member of the public. And you get to stand up and say, hi, my name is this, and I'm here to talk about this issue.
Yes.
And they listen. And that's how we determine things like rules or budgets, or for example, when THP was extended to 36 months instead of 24 months. You guys are the benefits of that, but that had to go before the state. So all the things we're talking about, it goes all the way up to that highest level of the federal system. But right here in Kern County, you have a representative who now, if you have an issue, you call and you either speak to his staff member, and if it gets to be a big enough issue, then you're speaking to Supervisor Flores, and it's actually brought before the board to bring about some change. And so these things, they really matter. And as you guys know, in the foster care system, child welfare is part of Kern County Department of Human Services. And so he oversees that budget as well, whether it's welfare to work or foster care, child welfare, all those issues. So very important that you guys engage. That's why we want to have Supervisor Flores here today, so you could just hear how big the issue is, but that you're a part of the solution. You really do have a say in everything.
Yeah, so that's a very important reminder that civic engagement just doesn't start at the campaign or on voting day, but it continues through the whole term. Like Randy said, just to give you an idea of a day in the life, Tuesday's our board day. We have 2 sessions, an AM session and a PM session. So we get about 150 agenda items on that day, and of various complexity or levels. Some are easy, some are on consent, some we have to really dive into. But yeah, routinely, that's when budgets come up, that's when DHS comes up, that's when funding services for youth, transitional housing, job training, all the things that impact you come before us. It's so important to hear from stakeholders on that item, either before or that day as we're deliberating in real time, because your presence, your comments, that helps shapes public policy, and that helps shapes our vote. It's very important that I hear from stakeholders on all those issues, because the agendas are enormous. My staff and I, we start going through them on Thursday. It takes Thursday, Friday, Monday to prep, and then by Tuesday it's game day, and there's a lot going on a Tuesday morning, because again, the number of departments, the numbers of issues. Then I have public comment. I'm dealing from everything from animal welfare, no kill, to elections, Dominion voting systems. I mean, it's all coming in. But to have people there speak to an item is very helpful as a board member, and I know our board appreciates it, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, so and it could be the craziest things. Like there was just recently this vote on what e-bikes can go on the bike trail, because we have this big bike trail that goes throughout Bakersfield, right? Some of these e-bikes go up to 50 miles an hour. Well, you don't want some young girl on roller skates and her dad riding his bike and some 50-mile-an-hour. The motorcycles can't go there, but that was actually a vote that had to go before the board. They heard from everybody. They heard from the guys that ride e-bikes. They heard from the bicyclists. They heard from the skateboarders. They heard from everyone. Said, hey, skate park's another one. How do we decide to put in a skate park? Where's that money come from? There's a skate park out here in Oildale. There's the one downtown. That's what they do. So it's just not all fire engines and sheriffs. They're doing a lot of stuff.
Yes.
The board votes on things all the way out in Ridgecrest. And so giant space projects, that's happening right here in Kern County. So very important you guys get engaged at a minimum vote and learn as much as you can about those measures. I don't know, when you watch TV, you'll always see two commercials. The one commercial is Indian gaming is going to ruin America, and then the other one's like Indian going, hey, this is going to save my family. So you're going to have to be the one that figures out what that looks like and what's important to you. But having someone you can reach out to in all those levels, that's what government's for.
Yeah, very well said. And back to bikes and some of the things we do. We did, the bike trail from Buena Vista to Hart Park. We just finally finished the last section, and it was going to go, previously it was going to go through the Kern County, Kern River Golf Course. But again, these alignments, they get so contentious. There's so many different groups. I had to deal with the golfer stakeholders, the runners, the walkers, the bicyclists. Sometimes interests collide, and we have to rethink things, and that's based on your public input. There were safety issues that arose, and trajectories of golf balls. There's golf maintenance equipment. There's tractors sharing the same path, and so we kind of put a timeout on it and said, well, maybe this isn't the best way to secure the loop. So we routed the loop around Lake Ming, adjacent to Lake Ming, and now we have a continuous lake to lake bike path that we're actually going to kick off and celebrate the ribbon cutting within a month.
Awesome.
But that just shows you the different forces that work for any given project.
Yeah.
Also, closer to Oildale recently, you may have heard this in the news. Back on the homeless front, we're going to do something called tiny homes. It's going to be next to the river and the Rasmussen Center, and that's going to be 50 units coming online probably in the fall. And it's for a special type of client that doesn't want to live in a congregate setting, because not everyone wants to be in a Quonset hut with 50 people. Sometimes people want privacies, but we're going to make it safe. We're going to have law enforcement, 24-hour security, private security, rangers, cameras, and, you know, wraparound services, case management on site to assist these people. Once we get them in, you know, we have a high level of success to get them into permanent housing. The trick is just to get them in. But once we get them in, there's a 9 out of 10 success rate once they start programming and receiving services. So that's something that you might have heard of. It's going to be near the river, near Rasmussen. Also, we're doing a project on roads. So we got a lot of COVID funding, something called ARPA, American Rescue Act funding. So our county share, we're spending that down. I'm spending that down in Oildale. Oildale has a lot of challenges, as you know. A lot of the area was built back in the 40s and 50s when we didn't have the same development standards for basic curb and gutter. I know it sounds boring, but it's important, especially when it rains and kids are walking to school, and or if you have ADA access issues. So we have to go back and put in a lot of infrastructure, and it's very, very expensive. But we're doing that. We always do that incrementally. But right now we're doing a $6 million project of new streets, curb and gutter, ADA access, sidewalks, and it's going to be a project on Beardsley between North Chester and Airport. We're going to redo that whole section, and also go up north on Sequoia. And then we recently redid parts near Rasmussen as well, last fall. So that's something we constantly do and maintain, is public infrastructure.
Do you, any of you have any questions about anything we've talked about, or anything at all that you would like to know from Supervisor Flores? Going once, going twice.
But I'd like to, can I ask them a question?
Yeah,
I'd
you
like
can
to
ask
hear,
what you want.
like to know, you know, your names and what you do, and some of the issues that you might be involved in. Or what are some of your passions?
I like to make music.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm Coleman Cornelius.
Nice to meet you, Cole.
21. I work at Frito-Lay.
Okay.
So,
That's by Button Willow?
yeah.
Okay.
Your brother just started the company.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kurt, right?
Yeah. My brother just started a company.
Oh, what company?
That's called Cornelius Hauling.
Oh, awesome. Are you related to Kevin Cornelius?
Yes.
Are you? What's your relationship?
I believe he's my uncle.
Nice. Kevin Cornelius, he's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And Kevin Jr. is your cousin?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Good people.
Yeah.
Good people.
We'll edit that out.
Watch
Except the
out,
hauling part.
the Corneliuses are taking.
Sponsored by Cornelius
The
Hall.
Corneliuses are
Yeah,
taking
my
over.
brother's
They're taking over.
My brother would be all happy screaming.
Okay. And what's your name?
My name is Mallory.
Hi, Mallory.
Hi. I'm sorry, what was your question?
Oh, no, just a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what are some of your interests?
I'm very passionate about skin. I just graduated from the esthetician program at beauty school.
Nice.
And
Is that on F Street?
yes,
Okay.
at Milan. And I'll be pursuing my license, which then I'll start working and doing facials and
Good for you.
skincare.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Well, don't sit too close to me. You might see I might have a lot of puffiness.
Oh no.
There's
judgment.
there's a lot of sleepless nights that come with your schedule and being a public official.
Well, just make sure to take care of yourself.
Okay.
Sleep.
Okay.
Drink lots of water.
Thank you. Well, good luck to you. How much longer do you have to go in your program?
I just graduated in September.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so now I'll be taking my license, my state board exam to get my license in March 10th in Visalia.
Okay, good for you. Is
Yeah.
that through Department of Consumer Affairs?
The cosmetology board.
Cosmetology board.
State something. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I think
Yeah.
that's the top.
Okay,
level,
nice.
just consumer
Yeah, and that's where,
affairs.
that's how government touches all our lives. The licensing, the sanitation,
Yeah.
governing everything. It's strict too, because I
Oh,
know
yes.
my barber, if they leave anything on the floor and there's an inspection, there's citations and all of that, but that's what helps us keeps us safe, so.
Oh, yeah, it's important.
Yeah, it's important.
It's very important, yeah. But
That's
it's
something,
very strict.
but that's something else that we do is if there are issues with government or licensing entity and you need assistance, that we help people, with the bureaucracy and troubleshoot and guide them. So that's another thing that we do.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Rosemary. I'm 21.
Hi, Rosemary.
I like to study.
Nice. What are you studying right now?
I'm majoring in psychology and sociology.
Very nice double major.
And I'll be
Okay.
graduating with honors this semester.
Well, good for you.
Hopefully-
Where do you go to school?
I'm at CSUB right now.
Nice. Okay.
Hopefully I go to another good school.
Wow,
Um,
you're busy.
yeah.
Okay, well, I think I think those two subjects are fascinating, and I wish you the best in your studies, and you can do a lot of good work with that. That's just the beginning, and it's applicable to any field, whether you want to do personal counseling, or whether you want to work for a business. That skill set is transferable to anything. I think that's fascinating. The people I deal with, I could use a psychology degree,
Yeah.
because a lot of it's human interaction, understanding where they're coming from, and good luck to you. That's very valuable.
So, my name's Connor. I'm 19. I'm into skating, which you said you guys deal with the skate park zoning.
Nice. Do you skate here?
No, down the east side.
Oh, east side. Okay, on Mount Vernon?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And yeah, I live down by the plaza, but I grew up on the east side, so
Okay.
everything I do is on the east side.
That's a busy park.
It is very busy after school, after each time I get out every day, it's packed.
Okay.
And in the fall, I'm going to be attending BC to start my path to get my teaching degree.
Good for you. Good for you. You will be in high demand. Because another hat that I wore, I was a trustee for the Kern High School District, which is the largest high school district in the state. And there's a big exodus of the older generation retiring, baby boomers, and we've got a lot of ranks to fill, and it's just not locally. It's a nationwide issue of shortage, especially in California. So sky's the limit for you. If you get your credential and you want to work in education, districts will be courting you. You won't have to court districts. So that's a good pathway for you. We need you. He was talking about pursuing an education degree to be a teacher.
That's
And
great.
I said he's going to be in high demand
Oh, yeah.
already.
So it's a wrap?
Yeah, unless you had any more questions, we'll do a tour.
Hold on. I don't know what he's doing.
Okay.
Said hold on though.
And what's your connection with Covenant? Did you work there?
Is this kind of stuff legal?
Yeah. Now you can't take me to the Bahamas, but you can give me a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for
Oh
coming
no,
in.
thank you. I'm honored. I'm going to put this in my office and display it.
We really appreciate you, and yeah,
Thank you.
thanks a bunch.
No, appreciate you guys. I appreciate what you do here and all the lives you transformed over the years.